Any new thing you go to is going to have things you'll be familiar with. So tell us about it. Which is your page?
Mine is pronouns.
The pronouns. Okay. So tell us about it.
Tell you about what I'm going to do for my lesson.
Yeah.
So I would start off the lesson by introducing pronouns with the above picture, the blackboard one, and then I'd show the class that song about pronouns, and then ask them if they could give like their own definition of what they think pronouns is, and start a discussion. And then from there, I would go over what a pronoun really is, and then I would have them in a computer lab or with depending on what resources I had, if they had iPads. And then there's a URL to go and play a pronoun game with balloons that you can click to differentiate the pronouns. And I would talk about how pronouns take the place of certain nouns. And then once they had time to play that game, there's some other games too that I would let them play online, but I just did one for now and there. And then I would have them do a short story of 5 words, keeping it simple, of what they did yesterday afternoon or something with a friend, and use at least 3 pronouns in it, and then draw a picture to go along with it, so they could put it on the bulletin board, and it could be for parents, friends, and just a reminder of what pronouns are on the bulletin board, so they could refer back to it.
Good.
And that's how they're assessed.
And you've got the technology through here. So let me ask a couple of questions. So first, with these pronouns, and you've got resources here, make sure to cite the sources. So just do them at the bottom.
Oh, okay.
Put the, you don't have to do it APA style, but basically put where you got, the screencast is yours, good going, but the song and so on and so forth. And if there are any other resources as it comes up, stick them in there at the bottom. And this is intended for a substitute or someone doing it. It's not intended for the students, but the resources in here are stuff that you use with the students. Okay. So that's fine, that's fine. The only other thing here I wanted to mention was on the home page. Now, if it's not a hyperlink, don't use an underline.
Okay.
So in general, hyperlinks and underlines kind of go together now with computers, and so these are okay because they are links.
Okay.
So how about some feedback? What do you think? The pronouns. You've got to have at least 2. Come on, use your friends.
A lot of people. I was in your group, so
yeah.
I think it looks good. It looks organized, easy to follow. It's not too flashy. It's just.
Okay, you got in at 8 o'clock in the morning. You're a substitute. You got a class at 9 o'clock. Can you do this?
Yeah, sure. I would say so.
Okay, and that's a good thing because you don't want to show this to kids. I mean, they're just going to go, "What? What are you talking about?" But this is the kind of plan that your supervising teacher would want to see as well. So you need to make sure that you have everything that you want covered. Were there any other technologies you thought you might be able to use?
Well, there was a few other games that I saw, but I was thinking if I couldn't get the classroom or something of computers, I would just use it on the smartboard and have kids come up and be interactive with the smartboard. But pretty much they would be on the computer unless they did their story on the computer as well, and typed out their story instead of handwriting it and then printed it. So there's another way to use the computer.
Okay. One more question or comment or suggestion? I mean, you guys all love pronouns, right?
What?
You all love pronouns? Can you think of anything with pronouns that would be, might make it stick in their minds, perhaps? Or just off the top of your head, pronouns are something they need to know the parts of speech, so they need to know what a pronoun is and how to use it and that kind of thing. Is there anything else? It's not really probably the greatest of interest to them. They're not going to go home and think about pronouns. But which pronoun, here's something for you. Which pronoun do foreign students usually have a problem with? There's one of the pronouns that is, if it's a pronoun, it might not be a pronoun. But there's foreign students, when they come in, you can tell if they understand English if they can use this pronoun well. If it's a pronoun, maybe I'm wrong. Name the pronouns.
Is it I?
I'll keep going. Just name
It's
them.
right there. He, she,
Me?
it, you.
Okay, one of those is something that you'll notice. If you have foreign students, and this is something to be aware of, one of those pronouns is one that it throws them when they first come to the United States and they start using it. They start using it, because it can be a lot of different things. You know, it went there and we found it, and so on and so forth. And you'll notice that when people, I used to teach ESL, 3rd grade, and actually all the elementary grades, and it was something that was noticeable. We used to discuss that actually in the staff room in terms of some of the things you could notice about students. So just something to be aware of if you're teaching students who are foreign students, or, you know, here in New Britain we got a lot of foreign students especially. Good, okay. Anybody else in that group? One other person in the group that we could look at? Any other part of speech? He, she, it. What are adverbs? Who did adverbs?
I did.
You did? Tell us about it.
The modifying words for verbs generally end in ly. Now there are a few others that have odd endings, but generally end in ly. It could be thought of as the poetic type of words. In fact, I put an example of a poem in there that would be read to the students, that with a little emphasis on the adverbs that are located within it. I put the link right below it because when I cited, I couldn't tell which with which, so I just stuck them in right below where they went.
Because this is intended for like a substitute or someone else, and you
Right.
don't need to have anything.
And I'm thinking of it's almost like my own scratch pad too, a little bit. I mean, I don't want it to be messy, but
Right. Well, that's fine. That's actually a nice way to do it too. You can put it at the bottom, anywhere. It doesn't really matter. So, do most people have problems with adverbs? Is that something that no?
no, it's just opening the kids to using them, and the poem seemed the most likely resource to that because that's one of the places where they can encounter them in a context that they can identify them readily.
Are you gonna have them write poems also?
Yeah.
Okay, so like Mad Libs kind of things, or just like a regular poem?
There's another site that has kind of silly poems where an action is done something Lee, but the something Lee is a little bit out of norm for that particular action.
Okay, good. Anybody else have problems with adverbs or? Just out of curiosity, because parts of speech usually are not the ideal things. Kids sometimes they kind of turn off.
I did have a question for you, and you notice right there, the second from the last line of the poem has it where there are brackets, number sign, and then the word furniture, and also in my name at the very top, and it doesn't show up when I'm in edit mode. It only shows up after the save. And if you go all the way to the tippy top where my name is,
And edit.
it also right there. Yeah, it also put it there.
Did you paste it in, or did you just write directly?
The Greg Smith adverb page I wrote in, but the other one I pasted.
Because it may not take the HTML exactly, and sometimes it'll put in a character.
So it just tries to
Right,
guesstimate
right,
the ASCII that'll fit there.
If you used Microsoft Word, you'd be in more trouble. Because Word, when you do HTML, and it'll kill it. But did you try and take it off and then see what happened?
No, that didn't actually happen until I changed it to bold italics. I was using those like headers.
Sure,
the
sure,
bold italics were like headers, and but it didn't do it on any of the other bold italics. So I don't think it was completely random, but
It could be the heading number. The heading. It's only showing normal still. So. Right.
Right.
Did
No, I didn't actually assign it as a heading. I just used that formatting for my own.
now, would you use commas with these words or not?
Good. I think it looks in that context, since it is a scratchpad use, I think it just made it look busy.
Okay, because kids are not going to see this
No.
unless you put this up.
Right. Those were examples of for myself or for the substitute or whomever to say these are the type of words that are adverbs.
Okay. Well, that'd be something you could ask him or her if it was easier to read or didn't make a difference or something like that. Okay, how about some feedback about adverbs? Any other technology that might fit in here, perhaps, or ideas that you might have?
I looked really hard for a poet reading their own poem.
Uh-huh. Oh, nice. Yeah.
Because it seemed to me that I had remembered a film strip or something as a kid, some old Walt Whitman-y kind of guy, you know, and it was saying all these words, trippingly and lovingly and all of these, and I couldn't find it.
Oh, too bad, too bad. You didn't want to do your own?
Oh, I did when I did
I mean, like your own reading, record yourself reading.
I did on the
Oh, okay.
the
Screencast. Sure.
I
Okay.
read that
Mhm.
so that they could pick that up and use it if they wanted.
Okay. How about other feedback?
Looks great.
Well organized. I mean,
Yeah.
again, is that enough for like 35 minutes or so? 20 minutes?
Well, I mean, by the time they sit down and do their own poem, you've got to give them a fair chunk of
You
time
bet.
to, you know, to formulate. Because, I mean, even if you prep them the day ahead, hey, tomorrow, guys, we're going to work on a poem. We're going to use, you know, all of our particles of speech, but we're going to concentrate on adverbs. You still got to give them a little time to get themselves in order and get it down on paper.
And what grade were you folks aiming
Third.
for? Third grade. Okay. Here's a suggestion that you guys might want to think about as well. If you go up to YouTube, say you put up a YouTube, either for your screencast or a video, you can make it unlisted, but you also can let comments be there. So you can actually put it up and students can go to it and actually put their own comments on, because no one else will see it. No one else will go there because it's unlisted. So for example, if you have a poem, perhaps, say you're reading a poem, your own poem, and it's a video of yourself or someone else, it doesn't have to be a video, it could be a screencast with a picture, then you can ask students, you know, could you name some of the adverbs in here or something like that. So it's a way to use YouTube with that kind of technology to get some feedback from students about some of the multimedia content that you put up there. So just a suggestion, yeah.
I see how that would work great for the first couple of students, but the 10th student to go there, would they just see the previous comments of the students?
That might be. You might have like a couple for different groups, you know, set up the groups in a couple of different ways and put them up there. Sometimes you want the kids to see what other kids have written down so that maybe the students who are slower will be able to pick up some of that. Or you may ask some of the students after they're 5 up to kind of write a sentence with it or do something else with it. So I just like the idea of using all these tools as much as possible in an educative way. So anything that you use, you try and figure, how can I get around, you know, get students to turn it around and use it in a different way and still do it. How about another wiki that folks have that we can look at a couple? You've got the English. Is there like a 415 math or something like that?
I want to see that.
Sorry?
She wants to see math.
You want to see math? Well, who did math? Come on, don't be scared. Who did math? Okay, and what is it? Is it EBT 415 math or?
Is that what it is, Jess?
The group is called Mathematics Group.
But what's the wiki called? Should say
Mathematics group.
EDT 415 mathematics group.
No, it just says mathematics group.
Just mathematics group.
Yeah.
Like all the mathematics group in the world, like the
I
versions
guess
of math.
so.
Mathematics group.
They're just the best group.
.wikispaces.com.
Surprised that one wasn't taken already.
Yeah, I mean, you know, it's like when someone's name, like one name like Beyonce or Pink or something like that. I mean, the only Pink ever is going to be that one person. Doesn't seem right. Is that it?
Yeah.
It could be it, but I'm not a member.
I asked you to be a member.
Did you send it? In the last class, people asked me to be a member, but they sent it to mail, sponderb@mail.ccsu.edu, and it has to be just sponderb@ccsu.edu. I don't know why they don't
Can you
accept
ask
it.
him to be a member?
Just like through this?
Yeah, just add.
Where would I go?
And I will join. Now here's something that you might want to do as you're sending that. This is an activity that you can do in any of the classes that I like because it takes the pressure off you. So you say you're teaching your first lesson and there are people watching you and you're teaching something that's maybe new for the kids. The best thing to do is to stand back and let the kids tell you what they know. So what you want to do is whatever the topic is, say it's addition, which is you would say, okay, tell me something about addition. What do you add? So somebody tell, what do you add? What kind of things do you add? Money, okay, yeah, money, numbers.
Oh,
Okay. What kind of money do you add?
Dollars and coins.
Okay, dollars, cents,
Or
and
bills
everything.
and coins.
Okay, so what you do is you stand with the class and you ask them about what they know, and then the kid in the back who's heard of some of this but never knew about it before can actually see the connections because you're making a cognitive map up here. But at the same time, you're finding out what the students don't know. You know, you can ask them, well, what's the paper thing called, you know, or whatever. And the idea is, as you're standing in front of the audience, the students, you're getting them to participate, and the people in the back are saying, hey, what a great teacher that is. I mean, he's getting the kids involved right away. And the thing is, you can use your cognitive map. If you use a Smartboard notebook, you can actually download that, copy it, give it to the kids, they can look at it. And at the end of the lesson or the end of the unit, you could use the same cognitive map with just some of the things in there, but the rest blank, and ask them to fill it out. So you have an opportunity to first get the kids involved. That's very important. Find out what they know. That's incredibly important. And also show whoever's watching you and people are observing that you really are starting at the beginning, not just telling kids stuff, but trying to get them to do things. So that's something you can do with any of the subjects you're teaching and with the notebook as well. Up to you. I used to do that with third grade. It would help because the kids were so much out of my experience. They're Alaskan Eskimo kids, and I didn't know what they knew. So I used that, and it helped. So did you invite me?
Yes.
Am I invited? Okay, so I will just check my mail. And I hope it works. Some of you have sent me mail and it ends up in my spam box. And I found it later. There it is. Math is fun. Okay, so which one? Which one? Who volunteers? Don't rush. And what's your name? Sorry? Mary. Okay. Mary. So tell us about it, Mary.
Alright, so my portion of the lesson was an introduction to multiplication factors. All of our lessons focused on teaching kind of like first lessons of multiplication, and it was for grade 3. In my part of the lesson, my initiation involved students coming up to the front of the room and using pennies as kind of a manipulative to get them up and moving and get them involved in the activity. I listed out some of the materials, and I start off by playing a YouTube video. It has a little song that kind of get them familiar with what multiplication by 1 and 0 is. And then from there we go into some more direct instruction. We have a worksheet that they do in groups.
And you have it here as a PDF file so we can download it.
Yep, I have it here that you can download it, and then I also listed it below in case for some reason it can't open, like a teacher could copy it into like a notebook and use it on a smartboard.
Mhm.
And then for the assessment, I have them do an individual worksheet with just a few problems on it. And I included my VOCI and then my presentation.
Is that you when you were in school a long time ago?
No.
Yes, good. Feedback. You were a substitute, which you may be at some time. Would this be useful for you?
Yep.
To go in? Now, let me ask you this. Here, lesson outline, you don't want to underline. So,
Okay.
and also don't use bold and italics together. Use one or the other, because it's like being redundant. So just
Okay.
use in general. And also this video, learn multiplication. See if you can embed that too, so that if someone's looking at this,
I did actually, that's the
Oh.
one
That's the
that's
video.
right
Oh, that's
there.
it, okay,
Yeah,
okay.
I just put it where it was the actual lesson.
Now, I don't know if you folks know this, but you can also download YouTube videos so that if it's blocked at school, which it may be, you can download the video and actually run it off your own computer. There's a lot of programs that'll let you do that. So just do a quick Google search, download YouTube video. There'll be hundreds of those things that you can. There's actually a thing from Firefox. Anybody use Firefox? Yeah, it's called, it's one of the add-ons. I can't remember what it is. It's like Download Helper. And if you go to Firefox, it's called an add-on. So it would actually be built right into your browser, and you can actually download any of the videos. And they also, most videos allow you to download them. There'll be like a download this video, so you can actually download it. And it'll run faster on your computer if you're showing it in class. And if it's blocked, so at least you'll be able to show it. And if they let you download it, then you know it's legal. Good. Other feedback, what else?
It's a very thorough lesson plan. There's a lot there. I mean, it's necessary, but there's a lot of material there.
Good, so you kind of thought of everything and maybe what people wouldn't be thinking of. Good, okay. And you might, as you're doing this over the week, if you go back over it, there may be some other technologies you might want to use if they come in. We're going to be doing audio in just a few minutes, and you may want to do that. How about one more from this page? I'm just going to pick like my, no, I only volunteer. But Brittany looks awful good. Where's Brittany?
Rather not. but-
Okay, no problem. Okay, so those are samples of things. Did anybody want me to look at bring up their page and kind of give feedback on it? It's okay. Do you want me to or not?
No, not.
Okay. Okay.
Good.
Then I won't. I'll stop the recording.